Okay.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Talking Talent. My name is Andrew Fairman from Talent Box Jamaica, and we're here every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. across LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And tonight we have a really interesting program lined up for you. So if it's your first time joining us, welcome. If it's your second time, your third time, your fourth time, welcome back to this program. Initially, we started this program simply because we want to educate job seekers as well as to create a space where we can challenge HR practitioners and, more importantly, we challenge recruiters, talent managers, and hiring authorities. So, again, if you've not yet subscribed to our LinkedIn page, you can do so. If you've not yet subscribed to our YouTube page, please go ahead and do so at www.youtube.com/talentbox. So again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program. We're so happy you're here, and this is Talking Talent. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, Sheldon Patterson. Good evening. I see that you've joined us on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. We do hope that this program will educate you as you prepare for your next interview, or even as you, within your own individual companies, try to acquire another job. We're happy you're here. All the others that are here, please let us know where you are joining from. It's going to be a very interactive session tonight. You will be given the opportunity to ask questions as it relates to difficult questions that you've experienced throughout the interview process. So, and we'll try our best to answer them. I see Morgan on Facebook saying hello, good evening, great having you. Welcome to the program. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I have a lovely lady, um, Natesha. Natesha is from the HR Checkpoint. Welcome to the program, Natesha.
Hi, Andrew. Good night. Good night, everyone. I'm very happy to be on this show tonight to help you to answer some difficult questions, and I hope that you will learn a lot tonight about interviews, and so that you'll be better prepared to answer the difficult questions going forward.
Awesome, awesome, great. Thank you so much for that. Hi, Khadija. Good evening. Sheldon says that he's watching from Portmore. So thank you. And he says that he actually has an interview coming up tomorrow. So this is a great program for you to tune into. Rochelle McLean, good night. Thank you so much for joining us on LinkedIn. So we have everybody tuning in. We have on LinkedIn, we have on YouTube, we have on Facebook. Great having you. So Khadija, let's kickstart the program by, tell us a little bit about who you are, so that the viewers can have an idea as it relates to your background. Hi, Khadija. I think we lost Khadija, um, ladies and gentlemen. So while Khadija is getting ready to come back on, um, please, we're going to be asking you to share all the questions that you have as it relates to interviews. Again, we want you to be very open tonight. Good evening. Is that Dana? Ennis, great having you. Nicole, great having you. Keith, good evening. Great having you. Morgan you're watching from Christiana. Awesome. Great, great, great having you. I think Natesha is back with us, so just hold on. Let me get her on. Hi, Natesha. Welcome back. Welcome
Hi,
back. So
Andrew.
tell us a
So
little bit.
sorry, I don't know what's happening with the internet.
I can understand. Jermaine Bell, welcome. Welcome everybody that's tuning in on LinkedIn, Facebook. Great having you. Natesha, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, why you believe that you're qualified to assist job seekers tonight as it relates to preparing and answering the difficult questions? Go ahead.
Okay, Andrew. So, as you already know, I'm Natesha Burgess, and I have been a human resources practitioner for almost 8 years. I've been working with,
Mhm.
one of the top companies in Jamaica, the top tourism company. So I have, been doing recruiting for quite some time. And that is why I believe that I am able to, assist job seekers in answering the difficult questions.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. So let's get the ball rolling. I've seen a lot of people.
You're welcome,
They've
Andrew.
sent out resumes, and they are in fact getting calls. However, when they go to the interview or when they navigate that process, at the end of that, maybe a week, 2 weeks after, they're not getting any job offers. Nobody's returning their call. So it simply means that there is a breakdown in the interview process. Now, there are some questions that we want you to deconstruct and present some ideas or best practices surrounding how one should answer those questions. The first question, which is almost asked in every interview, and this is basically to break the ice, to get you relaxed so that they can delve deeper into really what you are about and why we're really here. First question is, tell me about yourself. As an interviewer, as an HR practitioner, what are your best practices and tips surrounding that question?
Thank you so much for this question, Andrew. This is a question that seems so simple, and that is why most candidates fail at answering it, right? So when a recruiter is asking you to tell me about yourself, they're basically asking, who are you? What are you good at? Why are you a good candidate for the job? Right? So while this question seems simple, it is very crucial to prepare for it. And while you're answering, don't talk about, your complete work history, history. Talk a bit about your current role and then talk about your background, how you got there, and
Mhm.
the relevant experiences you have. Basically, what the recruiter wants to know is what sets you apart from all other candidates that applied for the job.
Mhm. Awesome, awesome. Thank you. So, in essence, all of the questions that an interviewer would have asked you in the interview would have linked you back to the actual job. So, your answers that you are crafting and that you're developing in your head should somehow point to you being the ideal candidate. If I'm understanding you correctly, I
For
think
the
the other part to it, too, Natesha, is that the answers must
correct.
be genuine and the answers must be real. You might give the right answer, but for some reason it felt as though you're telling a lie. It doesn't feel real and genuine. So you have to prepare for that as well. So thank you for that. So very simple, very, very simple answer that you gave there. Um, so here's another question. Can you tell me about a time when you encountered um, a difficult, let's say, a challenge, a business challenge, how you handle it and what were the results. So it could be a business challenge, it could be a difficult situation, or it could be a project, any of those. Um, how you handled it and what were the results. How would you answer that?
All right, so this is a tough question, Andrew, especially because it puts the candidate on the spot. So
Mhm.
recruiters want to know that the candidate they're hiring has the ability to think on their feet, right? And is resilient when facing challenges. So in answering the question, start by giving context of a challenge you faced, then work your way down to how you found the situation to the problem. Try to keep
Mhm.
your answer short and concise because what the recruiter wants to know sorry, what the recruiter wants to know is what you took from the situation. They don't need to know the whole backstory. So just start with the challenge or the situation you face, and then you speak about the task at hand. Then you move on to the action you took to overcome that challenge. Then finally, end on a positive note that will show the recruiter that you are a problem solver and that you don't just give up when when faced with a challenge.
Absolutely, absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely agree there. You know, so that's a great point. That's a really, really a great point. So my next good evening LinkedIn user, I'm really not sure who that is. My next question then for you is very, very common question. What would you consider your biggest professional achievement? What would you
All
consider your
right.
biggest professional achievement?
All right, Andrew, when a recruiter asks this question, right, that is the time when you sell yourself. Speak about your past experiences and what you've accomplished while you were in that particular role. Nothing says hire me better than a track record of achieving amazing results in your past job. A great way to do so is by, highlighting a situation and the task that you were required to complete to provide the interviewer with, pertinent information that they need. For example, in my last job as a recruiter, I was tasked in managing the onboarding process. In 1 month, I streamlined the onboarding process, which led to a better turnover rate for that company. Each month, the turnover rate decreased from 5% to 2%.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much. So, in essence, ladies and gentlemen, this question that says, um, "What would you consider your biggest professional achievement?" It's simply testing the depth of results that you've had. So that's one. And then it's also aligning you to really what you consider to be something that's impactful to you. So it's very, very important that you pay attention to this question because it will be speaking volume in terms of what really drives you, what motivates you. When you're answering this question, you must also talk about why you are choosing this as your major accomplishment. Because sometimes it is not the accomplishment itself, but it is why you believe that this is a major accomplishment. Because accomplishments are relative and subjective. So again, it is clarifying to the recruiter, the interviewer, why you're choosing this particular project, this particular achievement as the grandest of them all, so to speak. Thank you very much for that, Natesha. Ladies and
You're
gentlemen,
welcome,
this is
Andrew.
Talking, yes, this is Talking Talent. We're here every Wednesday, 6:30 across all major social media platforms, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and YouTube. If you have any questions as it relates to navigating difficult questions in the interview, you can definitely type them in now so that we can answer the questions for you. So the next question would be, what is your greatest strength? Or what are your strengths? What is your strength? So talk to us about how you navigate that question.
So when a recruiter asks, "What is your greatest strength?" This is a chance for you to talk about something that makes you great, something that
Hmm.
makes you a great fit for the job, right? When you answer this question, speak about quality, not quantity, right?
Yeah,
What I mean
yeah.
is, don't try to talk about everything that you're good at. Try to pinpoint one or a few qualities that are relevant to the particular position you applied for and give
Hmm.
examples. Stories are always more memorable than generalization. So use this time to just tell your story.
Hmm. Absolutely. Thank you very much. And the true Wayne has a point. He's saying that body language in terms of hand movement, is it wrong to move your hands while replying to a question? It's absolutely not wrong, Wayne. There is really not a wrong or right. And then I'm coming to Natesha to answer this question as well. It's really not wrong or right. So go ahead, Natesha, and then I'll address.
As you said, Andrew, it's really not wrong or right. But I know of some, some interviewers who use that to, think that the candidates are nervous. It can be a sign of nervousness, Andrew. But the recruiter won't mark you down for like your hand gestures as long as you are answering the questions properly.
Absolutely, absolutely. You shouldn't be marked down because of a hand gesture. I mean, we're hoping that your hand is not all up in the recruiter's face and extremely distracting. I can share an experience that our HR manager spoke to me about that a candidate came into an interview and she had on bangles, I think. And for every time she had on a lot of them. And for every time she answered the question, she would be moving her hands, and all the recruiter will be hearing is jingle bell, jing, ching, 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 right? And so that was very distracting for the interviewer, and she had to stop and actually ask the candidate to take them home. And I hope I'm not misquoting the interviewer, but it was so distracting to her that she actually had to ask the candidate to stop and take them off so that she could continue. So whilst it is not wrong, your gestures must have meaning, right? And they should assist you in bringing your point across. If they are not doing that, it is very appropriate to keep them at your side, in your lap, or even folded on the table. You can ask. I feel much more confident if I hold my hands and rest them on your table. Am I allowed to do that? And if the interview is not a monster, they will probably tell you it's okay to rest your hand on the table. So be mindful of that as well. Here's another question, Natesha. The questions are coming in. How do you respond to stress and pressure? I think we actually have this. Who's this? I'm not sure who this
Yes, we
person is, but we have
do.
this question. We actually have this question, and we're coming down. We're coming down to it. So if you stay on the program, you will hear about it. In fact, could you go ahead and answer this question, Natesha, the one about stress and pressure?
This is a question that candidates fear to answer, Andrew. However, all the recruiter wants to know here is do you understand how stress affects you on the job, and do you manage it? So when answering this question, talk about steps or strategies you use to deal with stress. For example, do you get annoyed or make a facial expression when you're dealing with a disgruntled guest? Or do you genuinely try to calm the guest and find a suitable solution that is both in the interest of the company as well as the guest, right? Um, don't try to dismiss this question, by saying that I don't get stressed, right? Just try to recall a situation where you were faced with sorry, when you were under pressure, and if you can recall that question, that would be good. That would be really good for you to just answer. Don't dismiss it because it's a question that puts you on the spot really and tells how you handle that particular situation.
Mhm, mhm. Thank you. Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, this question is very important. And I had this conversation, I think, last week with someone, and I brought up the idea that everybody says on their resume that, oh, I work well under pressure, or well, I work well with stress. And I turned to the person and I said, well, unfortunately, I do not work well under pressure. I do not work well when the environment is tense and stressed. So it is about showing up as your true self. So if this question is asked, um, do you work well under pressure? Do you work well when the environment is stressed and intense? If you don't, be honest about that. And when you say no, fortunately for you, maybe unfortunately for them, you don't work well under pressure. You need to present evidence as to what you will do to prevent stress coming up, to prevent pressure, right? Being 1 day, 2 days, always ahead. And I think that's what I do. Have a plan B. Okay, if this goes wrong, um, I can always have a plan B in place. So this is my coping mechanism, and this is what I do to ensure that stress don't come up. However, because I don't respond well to pressure and stress, if it comes up, I need to know where to find the available help and resources to help me. So this is also a very critical question that you must answer. If you don't work well under pressure, don't think that you need to say, yes, I work well under pressure. Be honest with the interviewer. Let them know why you don't work well. And if that stress time will come up, you need to show them how you can navigate it as well. Excellent question, I think that one is. So thank you for that. Um, I see. Um, this is Wayne. Okay, I think we answered this question already. Here's another question. Uh, what if during an interview the recruiter tells you that you are qualified for a job, but after the interview the recruiter doesn't call you? How would you? What are your thoughts on that? I'm guilty of that one. I confess. I'm confessing. I'm guilty of that one. What's your answer
uh,
to that?
could you repeat the question? You were breaking up a little.
What if during an interview, the recruiter tells you that you are qualified for a job, but after the interview, the recruiter doesn't call you back for the role?
That sorry, that happens a lot, Andrew. What I'd like to think is when a recruiter tells you that you're qualified, but they don't call you back for the job. I would like to think that maybe they found more qualified persons.
Mhm,
Sometimes you might do an interview with one person, and then
mhm,
interviews will continue.
mhm. I think, ladies and gentlemen, I think I lost Natesha. So let me pick up until she comes back in. So this question is very important, and you need to look at what is the recruiter really saying. when we talk about um, qualified, you can be qualified for a role.
While
Are you
doing
there, Natesha? Okay,
other
go ahead. You broke
interviews,
up
you
a little.
realize that, skills and experience are more aligned with what you want for the job. And so, you wouldn't, because the other person has more skills, more qualifications, and would fit your experience, you wouldn't
Okay, hello, Natesha. I think she broke up again. We are not um, hearing Natesha very well. Natesha, please just add yourself to the stream while we get this sorted out. So Morgan, to your question, you need to deconstruct what does it mean by being qualified for the role. You can be qualified for the role on paper. So you have the actual technical must-haves, as I would call them. So you can have a degree, you can have the experience, you can have the skill sets, but really you have not showcased to the interviewer that you can come in and really solve the problems that they are experiencing. So I feel that you must clarify that in the interview. And qualified, what do you mean by that? It's also important that throughout the interview, you constantly ask for feedback. Every question that you answer, clarify. Ask the interviewer, did my answer make sense? Did you understand what I'm talking about, or understood what I'm talking about? Okay. Is there any part of my answer that you need me to rephrase? Right? Answer again. These are some things that job seekers tend to not do in the interview. And I feel that if you have this dialogue, so to speak, um, it will be much better for you. Don't forget, the interview is a two-way street, is a mutual exchange between you and the recruiter. Let me see if Natesha is here. Natesha.
Hi, Andrew. Are you hearing me? Hearing me
Okay,
better?
awesome. Now we're hearing you. Okay.
Okay, great, great.
Yes. Okay, go ahead. So let's move on to the other question. Let me see this one. When the true Wayne says, if you are asked what you will bring, and your simply reply is, I am seeking growth, and leave it and leave it. Would that be good enough? I think that's what he's saying. If you would just say, I am seeking growth, and leave it at that, would that be good enough? I mean, answer that question, Natesha, and then I will answer this question.
Okay. Personally, Wade, was that Wayne?
Yes, wait.
Okay, personally, Wayne, if I ask that question to a candidate and the only question is, I'm seeking growth, I would really have to ponder to see if I really need to hire you, because that would seem like you're just coming to the company for your personal growth, and it's a partnership. The company has to gain as well as you have to gain as well. So you have to let me know what
Mhm,
you're offering, what you're bringing to the table, not just
mhm.
that you are coming to grow, because the company needs to grow as well, and we need persons, or we need candidates who will help us to level up the company as well, not just your personal growth.
Exactly, absolutely. And when that question or that answer to that question will immediately, if I ever interview a candidate and ask them, what will you bring? And you say to me, growth, immediately you're eliminated from the process. I will continue with the interview, but you're immediately eliminated. Your answer speaks to the lack of um, research It speaks to the lack of direction. It speaks to the lack of what you have to offer. It speaks to the lack of solutions. It is one-sided. There's so many negatives that I can come up by you just saying, I am seeking growth, right? So never do that. Never say to a recruiter, if they ask you this question, you're saying, I am seeking growth. Because in truth and in fact, that is self-serving. It still didn't answer the question. It still didn't tell them why you should get the job. So be mindful of that. Don't answer. Don't give them that answer. You might be looking for a job for a very long time. And I think Dana or Dana, or I'm not sure how to pronounce this name. She's saying that that answer does not indicate what you would ring. Um, okay. And then here we have Sapphire Keys. Oh, lovely name, Sapphire Keys. Alicia Keys, Sapphire Keys. How is the best way to answer? Tell me about yourself. Oh, Sapphire, you missed the program. That was the first question we answered. Unfortunately, you'll have to rewatch the program. So that was the first question we answered throughout. Um, when we just started. Morgan Rose, is it right for the interview to ask about your personal life? Interesting. Let me hear your thoughts on that. And I'm going to share a very interesting uh, interview that I had. Go ahead, Natesha. Is it right for the interview to ask about your personal life?
I don't believe the interviewer would be in any right to ask about your personal, the personal side of things. It should always, an interview should always be strictly professional. So they can ask
Yes.
you about your experiences, your skills, but never should
Mhm,
they, delve into your personal business because it's just that, it's personal.
mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. And so, Morgan, I'll have to ask you how personal is personal, to be quite frank. Um, I asked about 2 days ago, I asked a particular question, and this was the question I asked. Tell me of a time that you had to overcome a difficult challenge, whether personal, professional, or career-wise. Tell me how you dealt with it and how that has changed your approach to life and to work and to career in general. My reason for asking that was because I wanted to find out grit. I was searching for grit. I was searching for a candidate who knows how to navigate difficult situations and challenges, and somebody who would not give up, because we do have those candidates where there's a situation and they just pack the bag and they're just gone, right? They pack up the things, they cheer, they pack up everything, the computer if they brought it to work, and they just tell the employer, bye bye, this is not for me, right? So we actually, but I would love for Morgan to tell us how personal were those questions. And I would also agree with Natesha that you can't be too personal because the interview is really about skills and you answering and showing how you will come in and assist the company. Recruiters should not hire with emotions. Recruiters must hire with their head. And a lot of times, that's where we get it wrong. We hire somebody because we like the person, and the person come in and does terribly. And we don't hire somebody because we don't like the person. And in fact, the person we don't hire could have been the ideal candidate. So that is why we have to remove emotions. While we're showing up as genuine human beings, we're still managing our emotions. And I know we're off track, Natesha, but I want to get to all of these questions and then I'll go to the other questions that we have. Um, Ketora, another name that I like, Ketora Makala, says, how is the, or what is the best way to answer, what can you bring to the table?
Could you repeat the question, Andrew?
What's the best way of answering, what can you bring to the table? Or what will you bring to the table?
I would say the best way to answer that question is to, you know, do just that. Just tell the, speak about your experiences first and foremost,
Yeah.
because that is what will tell the interviewer um, what you're bringing to the table. So I have 7+ years experience working in the human resources field. I have intensive training in, sorry, I have intensive training in recruiting and onboarding candidates. I, speak about your experiences and
Absolutely.
your speak about your experiences and your, what should I say, your strengths.
That exactly, absolutely,
And that
absolutely,
is
Natesha.
what will, answer that question for the interviewer.
Yes. And to Ketora's question, I think it is important when you get this question, it is important that you um, summarize your success. So you could say, Ketora, with 10 years of experience leading a sales team, I was able to increase sales at my previous two companies from 20% to 35%. In those 10 years, I also learned how to manage a team, build out new products, as well as to navigate customer relationships. So what I will bring in essence is my track record of increasing sales and working with and building out my team, so to speak. So in essence, you are summarizing your success stories in the past and you're putting it back in front of the recruiter to say, this is what I have. Absolutely love how you answered that question, Natesha. Thank you very, very much. Let's move on. I see so many other questions coming in, but I have some as well. Um, why do you want to leave your current role or current job? That's that one.
You're coming with a lot of touchy questions, Andrew. But it's a definitely a must ask question. Recruiters ask this question to get a feel as to why you're leaving your job. Because the truth is they don't want you to come and do the same thing at their establishment. When
Yeah.
answering this question, do not, and I repeat, do not bash your last employer. Do not say one
Yeah.
negative thing about your last employer, even if the only thing you can remember is negative. There must be one positive thing you can remember. So just focus on that one positive thing. And because, bashing your old company, it won't do any good for you,
No,
right?
it
You have
doesn't.
absolutely nothing to gain from speaking negatively about your employer. So instead, just let the recruiter know that you're eager to take on new opportunities and sorry, that you feel like the role that you're interviewing for right now would be a better fit for you. For example, sorry.
No, that's okay.
For example, I would really love to be a part of, the human resources department. I admire your people processes, and I believe that my skill would be a great fit for your organization.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. I love that. I see Morgan coming back, and Morgan saying that she went to an interview and the interviewer asked her when does she plan on getting married and how long she's been dating. That is off the
Wow.
record.
That's that's way too
Listen
personal.
to me. That is too personal, Morgan. Um, Too personal. And this is what I hate about the interview process. People believe recruiters, hiring authorities, managers believe that because they're sitting in the seat of an interviewer, they have all right to intimidate, they have all right to manipulate the job seeker. But I must also say that some job seekers, and this is not generalizing, have also allowed this to happen. When you go in an interview room, you must set the bar so high, right? That the recruiter has no other option but to keep it professional. Immediately, if I go in that interview and I'm asked that question, I unfortunately I might just tell them, listen, I think that's too personal, and would love to remain um, and stay on focus, focus on the actual interview. Now, Morgan, you must pay attention because this is giving you an idea into the culture.
Hmm.
This is a complete red flag. And so the recruiter will only ask you certain questions if it is allowed. If that interviewer had a manager or the company stands for something else, he or she would not be there asking you that question, right? So be mindful of that as well. Do you agree, Natesha?
I do indeed, Andrew.
Absolutely. Good, good, good. I love it. I love it. So why should we hire you is the next question. We get this all the time. Why should we hire you?
So this question, Andrew, can be a bit intimidating for the average job seeker. Um, However, this is your chance to really shine. You know, this is where you sell yourself and talk about your skills, the skills that you have that are aligned with the job and, your past experience in a particular role. The recruiter is basically asking, what do you have to offer our company, that no other candidate can offer us? Your answer should be, should, sorry, convince them that you not only can do the work, but, you can also deliver great results, and that, you'll be a perfect fit, with the existing team, and the culture at the company.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much, Natisha. Now, you cannot answer this question accurately and really, really powerful if you don't know the pain points. And so this really goes back to your research. So you must know when you're applying for a role, you must know what your core functions are going to be, what the challenges are going to be. And you're going to tie this right here. Why should I hire you? Well, a typical way of answering this is that, well, I did a recent research and I realized that you're struggling to hit your target, to hit your sales target. And I'm just referring to sales because that's the one that's on top of my head. Based on my recent research, I realized that you've not been hitting your sales targets, and as such, you are seeking a sales manager, you're seeking a sales executive. With my experience of successfully increasing sales, I believe that I will be the ideal candidate because of how successful I've been in my previous role. This is a killer question. You must drive it home and drive it home safely. So this is important, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't want you to say to the recruiter, well, don't hire me and you will see. Listen to me. They are. I've come across some job seekers in my life. I tell you, there are some answers that you get. You would be blown out of this world. So be mindful of that. I see, let's see if this is a question. What is it that you're bringing to the company that we don't have already? That's Toya. I think we've addressed that, Toya. We addressed that question earlier in terms of what you're bringing to the table. So it's important that you be mindful of that. So let's move on, Natesha. Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, the time has elapsed. We are at 45 minutes. Where has the time gone? Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Talking Talent. We're here every Wednesday at 6:30 on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Please go ahead. If you've not yet subscribed to our LinkedIn channel, please go ahead and subscribe at www.youtube.com/talentbox. And this is a worthy cause. We really want to educate you as job seekers so that you can navigate the hiring process. I see Morgan. Let's go to Morgan. I also need to know if it's okay for the interviewer to calculate your traveling expenses during the interview. Calculate your travel expenses during the interview. Natesha, you want to go first with this one?
Um, Let me see if I have the question correctly. So you want to know if during the interview the interviewer can calculate your expenses.
Yes, I think so.
Um, I don't believe that the interviewer should be the one calculating your expenses. Um, I believe what they can do is ask you what your salary expectations are, and in doing so, then they will be able to, ascertain if they are able to hire you based on their budget. Um, and if even so, if they need to calculate, your traveling expenses, I believe that that can be done should they decide to hire you. You know, I don't think that they really need to go into your expenses in during the interview. Just ask you what your salary expectations are, and then from that, they will be able to identify right then and there if it's within the budget for them to hire you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. And let's hope that this is not from the same one that asks you how long you've been dating and when you're going to get married. Because if it's the same one, Morgan, you need to run. I mean,
I agree
you
totally,
need to run faster than Usain Bolt. You need to run
because
faster than Usain Bolt. If it's
he's
the
really
same
getting
interview.
personal.
I mean, this can be done after the interview, right? And what the interviewer can do is rather than calculating your traveling expenses, they can tell you that listen, this is what the position pays, and it doesn't come with any extra um, allowances, etc. They can do that rather than just showing up as a very unprofessional um, person throughout the interview, right? But Morgan, and even as you navigate the interview, make sure that you are showing up very professional, you are showing up very profound, you are showing up very strong. Because if you enter the interview room not showing up professionally, not showing up strong, then the recruiter might believe that they can take advantage of you, which is very sad. And so this is for all my job seekers that's online. Make sure when you step in the interview room, you're stepping in there as what I call a walking fire, right? I just like to throw words out there. You're stepping in there so professional and so profound that they will reserve asking you questions that are too personal and that really doesn't make sense. So be mindful of that. Toya, I had an experience of this nature. This was due to the salary I asked for. I was asked the permission Okay, I think she was saying that she was asked the permission to ask personal questions and to calculate salaries. I'm not really sure what she's trying to say. Toya, please clarify. Um, but let's move on. Let's now go, since everybody's talking about salary, Natesha. Thank you so much. We're on here almost for 1 hour. Tell us, how would you answer? What are your salary expectations?
No, this question, Andrew, is the million-dollar question. I can't tell you how many times I have asked candidates this question, and they go absolutely blank. They either are afraid to answer because they don't want to not get the position because of what they don't know what the salary the position pays. Um, sorry, and they don't want you to just not take them because the position might be paying a little less than that. So I always tell them to think along the lines of what would be sufficient to take you to work and back, what would pay
Mm,
your bills, what would you be comfortable working for, right? And every time I always have to say, whatever your expectation is, it will not injure your chances of getting the job, right?
yes.
You but candidates have to try to figure out, what your salary expectations are, ahead of time. Do some research. For instance,
Absolutely.
look at similar positions and what they're paying, and take into account your educational background, your skills, and your personal needs. So once you have done that, you can then give a range or ask the recruiter to share a salary range with you. Or if you're still not sure on how to answer that question, just feel free to sorry, tell the recruiter that you'd like to learn more about the position before you answer that question.
Absolutely. Yes, I would agree to that. Because I think a lot of times we either undersell ourselves. And I had a candidate once who I coached him for an interview and I sent him to a particular employer. And he, in fact, got the job. He did very well in the interview. And I said to him, this is the salary that you need to go in with. I told him that. When he went in the interview, the recruiter, the interviewer, was trying to save money. And so the recruiter offered him a salary package way less than that. Being pressured, he actually accepted the offer. And within, I think, a few months, he went back to the hiring manager, went back to his manager asking for an increase. And they said, no, we can't give you an increase. You just came, you accepted this offer, right? And a few months after he left, he actually resigned and left, resigns. So it's important that you navigate. If you feel pressured that you must give an answer, let them know how you feel. Um, I would love to learn more about the role before I give you a figure, right? So that's important. Let's move on. Here is Katora. How do you answer this one? Why was there a gap in your employment? Absolutely. This is a great question. Would you like me to take this one first, Natesha?
Sure, go ahead because I'm breaking up a little.
Okay. How do you answer why there is a gap? So, Katora, there is absolutely nothing wrong with an employment gap. What is most important are the reasons why you have a gap. So, were you terminated, and because of that, you can't get a job and a job? Were you studying? Were you on maternity leave? Um, why do you have a gap? So it's not necessarily um, you should not have a gap, but it is okay, there is a gap. Let us know why there is a gap and what have you been doing since. If you just sit around snapping your finger every day for the past 2 years, looking up in the ceiling and saying, "Oh, what to do," that is definitely not a good sign. Okay, but if you were in some projects, if you went back to school, if you were on maternity leave, if you started a business, these are the reasons why it would have been okay to have an employment gap, if that makes sense. Do you agree, Natesha?
I agree totally, Andrew. I always tell people or candidates that, you know, if you have lost a job, what you need to do is either you try to get a job, as soon as possible, or you do some courses, in the meantime, so that there is never a gap. And if there is a gap, ensure that you have something to tell the recruiter, because this is always a question that they do ask, and it will it I won't say it will hinder you from getting the job, but it will play a great part in
Absolutely.
you getting the job.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Natesha.
Then
And
you're
to
welcome,
Yvonne
Andrew.
Roden's question, if they're asking you for a lesser salary, that's completely fine. I would respect an interviewer who, from the get-go, says to you, or ask your permission to present a lesser offer. I think nothing is wrong with that. It shows that they're very transparent and want you to understand the the salary package that they have to offer. Oh my ladies and gentlemen, it has been an excellent program. Natesha, I cannot thank you enough. What are your final thoughts or advice for Stephen and all those the others that have interviews coming up?
All right, Andrew. So landing a job is very hard, especially in this post-COVID era. So candidates have to present their very best self, right? And in order for them to do that, one has to prepare for the interview, right?
Mm,
And when I say prepare for the interview, I mean even before stepping into the interview, you have to set up yourself for success, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Ensure that your
Absolutely.
resume is professionally done. You have
Yeah,
lots of career consultancy firms that provides resume creation, resume revamps, career
yeah.
coaching, etc. You need to utilize their services to ensure that you are fully prepared to land your dream job.
Absolutely. So, Natisha, can you tell the viewers where they can find you? We know you offer resume writing. We know you offer career coaching. Tell the viewers where they can find you, just in case they might need help.
Okay, Andrew. Well, the HR checkpoint is, HR and career consultancy firm, and we are located virtually, actually. So you can find us on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and that's at the HR checkpoint. And you can also WhatsApp us. Our number is 357 12 14. So you can find us on all of those social media platforms, or you can just send us a WhatsApp.
Good. Ketora, let's answer this last question. We need to run. How about
Okay.
this question? How do you prioritize work? Um, what's I think how you prioritize
But
work is simply just laying out a structure in terms of, are you going to be looking at the most urgent, not so urgent, urgent and important, urgent not important, not important, you know, regular duties. So come up with a strategy and way clearly step-by-step approach in terms of how you approach that one. Do you agree, Letitia?
I do. It has to do with scheduling and, as you said, putting the most important task first, and then working your way down to the less important tasks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Well, Natesha, we want to really take this time up to thank you for coming on and joining us tonight. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on Talking Talent. And thank you very much. Thank you for the gems that you shared with us tonight. Have a great rest of the night.
Thank you, you too, Andrew. And
You're
I just
welcome.
wanted to say you're doing a really, really good job here. Putting on this um, avenue or this platform for persons to really come on and get some insights on, interviewing. So, keep up, really, really good job, and keep it up.
Well, thank you so much for those kind words, Natesha. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Andrew.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Natesha from the HR Checkpoint sharing with us some tips and gems as it relates to answering the difficult interview questions. So, again, it is about you showing up as a real problem solver. Um, there are no interviews that I've seen that is about let's just sit and just chit chat and have and joke around. It's really about aligning you to the role. For every question that the interviewer asks, there is a reason behind the question. If you are able to deconstruct that question and come up with the ideal answer, then you are on your way to something. I must say this though, again, I said it earlier, for every interview that you attend and for every question that you ask, right, or that you answer rather, make sure that you're asking the interviewer, did my answer make sense, right? Were you satisfied? Do I need to clarify? Make sure you do that. Now, when you ask the interviewer that, look out for nonverbals. Look how the interviewer rolls their eyes. Look how they turn away, right? Because they might be, their nonverbals are usually very telling. So be mindful of that as well. Another point, there are some recruiters that will have what we a pen, a pencil, and they're writing, and they will give you hints. So if the recruiter is writing, it means that they're taking notes, and the information that you're providing might be of value. If you realize that the recruiter puts down the pen, it simply means that the information that you are providing does not hold water, has no value, and therefore they don't need to record it. So if you pay attention in the interview, you will get a lot of your answers in terms of how well you are doing. So that's important. So be mindful of that. Oh boy, I'm going to be. There's so many questions coming in. I say, oh boy, and we Natesha left us. So, True Wayne, how many seconds one should take to respond to a question? I mean, obviously, we don't want you to take 1 minute or rolling your eyes, looking up in the ceiling. I really don't like that, me personally, as a recruiter and an interviewer. But it is okay to think because there are some questions that really require your thinking cap. So here's what you need to do, Wayne. Um, I think couple seconds, you know, 5, 6 seconds is good enough because what you don't want is a lot of dead space and air. If you take too long to answer the question, you might be sending the wrong signal as well. So ask for permission, let the recruiter know that this is a very intricate question that needs some thought. So may I just think on it for 10 seconds, please? And you think about it and then you answer that. If you feel you need more, ask for more as well. Um, uh, Michelle Walters, you can say repeat on YouTube to go to www.youtube.com/talentboxjamaica, and you will get um, uh, you will see the video. It has been such a great time with Natesha. We're really happy to have her on. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure.
Struggling to find the right candidate? Need to streamline your recruitment process with a simple and user-friendly platform? Introducing CareerJA, Jamaica's newest and most cost-effective way to hire fast and hire smart. As an employer, you can advertise your job, schedule and track interviews, chat with job seekers to build your employee brand, remove the recruitment hassle, and focus on your core business duties by using CareerJA today. CareerJA, connection made easy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Talking Talent. Listen, you need to catch us next week, Wednesday. And this is going to be a hot topic as well. We will be talking about the rights of an employee. And we have a senior HR advisor joining us next week. Same time, same place. I know many of you have challenges in your workplace, and you're wondering whether or not the employer treated you fairly, as well as you might have questions as it relates to your own rights as an employee. So catch us next week on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, same time, same place, as we discuss the rights of an employee. This has been Talking Talent.